So let's get moving. I'm gonna get started in a seated position and we'll just kind of see where it goes. You know that old saying, go with the flow. Let's try it. So thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Michelle and my channel Yoga Creature. A little bit of time with the world inside of you. So we'll get started in a seated position. Whatever feels good for you. I am seated on a blanket just to have a little bit of extra comfort, right? It's important to be comfortable. Comfortable in your skin and in your body, and comfortable in what you believe in. How do you know that you believe in it? You have to experience it. So let's go inside and experience you. Closing the eyes, just drop your shoulders down from your ears. And start to take a couple nice deep breaths in and out through your nose. Just let it flow, very much like water. Let it come up to the shore and let it recede back to the bigger being of the ocean or the lake or the pond. Understanding that this ebb and flow of breath is just the ebb and flow of life and how all things are connected. Let's take 2 more deep breaths here. Let yourself settle. As you connect with the sensations of breathing into your body, observe, notice how your body feels. Maybe your mind is focusing on something now. And just acknowledge it. Be okay with it, understanding that it'll change. Everything is impermanent. We go through a whole variety of sensations, emotions, thoughts, body shapes, sizes, reactions. And it's just a part of it. Don't tie yourself to something. Don't say, I am uncomfortable. I am this. You aren't. You're not that. You are you. And that's just a sensation. It's a brief moment as to who or what you are experiencing, right? So, let's go ahead and roll those shoulders a little bit. Forward and back. Releasing those hands on down to your mat. Take a moment to reset those shoulders. It's so natural to draw them up, but just kind of drop them down and let the head tilt to one side, keeping your jaw relaxed. Feel free to close your eyes and just breathe into your body. And release the chin towards your chest, let the back of your neck open and stretch. And we're going to move the head over to the other side. And release the chin back towards the chest. Adding a little bit more movement. This time, inhale, sweep your arms up. And as you exhale, release them down. I'm going to take the head over to the shoulder again and take an opposite arm up and over. Pause for a moment. Kind of press your opposite knees. I'm pressing my right knee down just to help open up that side of the body. Changing sides. Flip up and over. Right, release the head, press the shoulder down from the ear, press the knee down towards the mat. And remember, when I say that, don't force it. Just kind of connect with it. Go, yeah, I can press my knee down. It's okay. Let's stay grounded for a moment. See what that feels like to be grounded in something solid. Perfect. Release back down towards your midline or your true north, your center. Inhale, arms sweep up. Going to take a twist over to that side. Fantastic. Other direction. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, the other direction. Perfect. Good release from that twist. We're going to change the cross of the ankles. So if you are in Sukhasana, or if you're in Lotus or half Lotus, maybe you're seated with your legs out in front of you. You can be seated that way too. Remember, every million different ways to be seated. Just be comfortable. Be able to feel that your spine is grounded and elevated, right? Lifting, extending up. So let's put those side stretches and those twists together. Inhale, arms up. Going to extend over to one side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, reach. Come back to center. I'm going to sweep both arms up and then take that twist over to my left. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, twist to the right. Sweeping up and extend over. Good morning, Maggie. Always something. Perfect. So you might find a way to make this flow seamless, or maybe you break it down, take a little bit more time, but I'm just going to start to go with it. Just a little bit more of a brief time here, and then we're going to change our position. Yeah, there she goes. She'll go sit down in her bed for a moment until she hears another noise. So protective of our space. Inhale, sweep up. And exhale. Interlace those fingers, press and round the spine, tuck the chin. Good. Take it up and release it. So it's always good to have a plan. Like, I want to work on this. I want to do twists. I want to do hip openers. I want to do back bends. I want to do forward folds. You know, it's good to have that as a way to have a focus and have a game plan set for your practice as to how you want to move your body. Maybe you're working towards more flexibility of your hips or your hamstrings or your spine, and it's good to have a sequence of poses together to do that. But feel free to explore and try different kinds of those poses and put them together, and also break them apart, do them in a different way, or be creative, be inventive like the yogi that I know you are, and just get on your mat and breathe. And maybe your practice is more about seated self-exploration than it is moving, right? Remember, yoga is 8 branches, right? And asana, as my friend kindly reminded me this morning, asana is just one branch of the 8. And so it's important, but it's not the whole thing, right? And we get caught up in that. So I'm going to change my position. I'm going to stay in the blanket for just a little bit longer. Keeping those knees bent, take the feet out a little bit wider, and let's do a seated cat-cow. So holding behind your knees, inhale, rock up. So rock up on your pelvis, lift the chin, and then exhale, tuck and round. We'll do this from all fours in a moment. Good, one more time. Inhale, roll up, and exhale, roll back. Come back to midline. I'm going to take those knees over to my left. Going to come around and just let that twist be a little bit bigger. You can come down into your elbows too if you need to stay here for a little bit longer. Hands under shoulders. I usually use the inhale to lift. It's just like a more natural action. Take those knees over the other side. Knees are going to drop. Come around. Either stay on the hands or come down into your elbows. Hands come back underneath the shoulders. Gather your knees in towards your body or towards your chest. Press up. I'm going to move to all fours. I'm going to open up the blanket a little bit so I still have that support, that softness for my knees. All right, so here comes that traditional cat-cow spinal flexions extension. See, shoulder over wrist, knees pretty much underneath hips. Inhale, I'm going to drop the belly because I think about the breath grounding, dropping down. And then as you exhale, pulling it up and in, let that breath lift. Inhale, ground. And exhale, lift. Now you might find that the breathing pattern in a different way or order works better for you. I've been there, done that, experienced that many times where I've had inhale to open the back of the body and exhale to drop the belly. It's just whatever feels more natural for you. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong. I'm going to take my hands over to the left side of the mat. I'm going to press into the ribs and then changing direction. Perfect. Real brief child's pose. I'm going to bring the big toes together. You might have the knees together, might take the knees separate, whatever feels best for you. Once again, I'm going to take my hands over to the left side of the mat. Focus more on leaning into the right hip. A little bit more stretch through the right ribs. Changing direction of that stretch or that position. Awesome. Re-extend your hands back out in front of you. And I'm going to roll up to all fours. So I'm going to heat the core up just a little bit more. I'm going to do a little bit of Cobra and Child. And before I get there, I'm going to tuck my toes under. Now you don't have to do this, or you can do one knee at a time. You can do one hand. I'm just going to elevate this a little bit. I'm going to float the knees. Notice my spine is flat. Perfect. Release it back down. Take the toes, let them stretch the back of the mat, go back into that child's pose. Gonna come up. So here comes Cobra. Now before I do that, I'm gonna get this blanket out of the way. Not too far away, I might end up using it again. So let's go into Cobra. Shift forward a little bit so that you can extend through your hips. Notice I'm in a modified plank. My wrists are still in alignment with my shoulders. Looking forward, I'm gonna slowly lower the body. Elbows go back, chest stays open, so shoulders are away from ears. Inhale into your Cobra, little back bend. Exhale back to child's pose. Awesome. Gonna come back up. Now, I'm gonna tuck the toes, I'm gonna float. Now notice my knees aren't underneath my hips, so I didn't go back into a traditional tabletop. I'm a little bit more extended out. If you need to step in, you can. All right, I'm stepping it back a little bit. What's the difference? Really not much. It's just more convenient to flow with that. All right, Cobra, lower. Inhale, open your chest. Exhale, press it back. Perfect. Gonna tuck the toes under again. I'm gonna float it. Now, let's do this. Let's push the floor away and go towards downward facing dog. Coming forward, I'm gonna float it. Release it down, come forward, lower it down, inhale, and exhale back to that child's pose. How about 2 more times? Come up, float, take a breath or 2 here. Feel the mat under your fingers. You want to feel all your fingers in the mat and press back. A real tight down dog, meaning short distance between my hands and my feet. That's okay. I'm going to float it, going to release it down. Shift forward, lower it down. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhale, float. Awesome. 1 more. Press back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Shifting back and hover. Release those knees, shift forward. Bring your toenails to your mat. Lower the chest. Inhale, lift. And exhale into that child's pose. Awesome job. Coming back up. Let's do this for a moment. Come back into your tabletop position. Since we were doing just a little bit of strength there. You're going to extend the leg back and move into a modified side plank. Real brief. Once again, there's that side stretch. Really extend. So the foot that you can't see, I have that foot flat on the mat. Letting my foot be grounded. My knee under my hip. My other foot, right? I tuck it back behind me. It's like a kickstand. So I really use this leg for support, right? Using the core, the thigh, right? Perfect. Going to change direction now. I'm going to come back to all fours. I'm going to flip this way so I can see what you're doing. That's not true. I can only see what I'm doing. You might have fallen for it. All right, I'm going to stretch that leg back. So here, I bring the foot to the floor. That foot comes behind me. Right, there's my kickstand. Take that arm up, over. Perfect. You want to see how grounded you are? Let it go. Use your core, right? And that might not be for you, right? That might not be where you are today, and that is perfectly okay. But you might be one day. Perfect. I'm going to come back to all fours. All right. So from here, if I was going to be here a long time, I'd put my blanket back underneath my knees, but I'm not going to. All right. So, coming up into your knees, so I'm going to move towards camel. Still working on back bending and breathing into the body. Right? So, the tailbone, I want my tailbone to kind of ground towards the floor. So it takes a pelvic tuck. So you engage the abs, a little bit quadricep, glutes tuck under, and learning how to relax while you're here. A lot has to do with your spinal alignment, how you're built. So don't force it. Be mindful of squeezing your glutes so much that you become uncomfortable, your hamstrings start to tighten up. I just want to kind of help. So I'm going to gently press down and forward. It's a gentle stretch from the front of the body. Using that breath to lift the ribs up. Right? I don't want to crunch down into it and crunch around. It's an upper back bend, so we want to create length and let the shoulders drop back. Notice my hips kind of stay right over top of my knees. I don't go too far forward with my pelvis. Awesome. So I think about exhaling, bringing everything back to center. So for that back bend, what's the complement to a back bend? A forward fold. So I'll go into a child's pose. Taking a couple nice deep breaths here, filling that body. Let's get in a little bit of a twist. So I'm going to keep the big toes together, take the knees out wide, take an arm through, and take a little twist. That lower back stretch out. Woo, I just got a spinal pop. That is worth it. Change direction. Awesome. Coming up. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to bring this down to the floor. Let's do a little bit of hamstring. Right? So remember, if you need that blanket for your neck, please have that blanket under your head. If I laid down on my back and extended my legs out and my chin stretched to the back wall, I would definitely have a blanket underneath. Just to give my head and my neck, muscles in my neck and my upper back a little bit of support. We're going to bring a knee in. Remember, relax your jaw. I do that all the time. I come down and I start looking at the ceiling and looking at things and my mind starts to race. And even after all of these years of doing this, it's a practice. I have to practice staying inside and just being with my breath. Practice. I'm going to change legs. I'm going to release that down, bring in my other knee. I like to fold it in tight. I really stack my bones, but that's not always agreeable with the knees. It depends, right? Depends on what I did the day before. Depends on how you're feeling, how tight your quadriceps are. Maybe you have a misalignment in your knee joint. That happens. Bones are bones. They tend to shift around sometimes depending on the impact that we place on them. Awesome. So I'm going to do a little bit of a bridge. Bring my feet in, right? Press my arm bones down, and I'm going to roll those down. Right? So I think about turning my biceps towards the ceiling. That presses my shoulders down, which immediately lifts the chest. That's a part of it, right? It's, once again, bridge is just like the pose that we did on our knees. Camel, just that we're from a different direction, a different position. So I'm going to press the shoulder blades down, press my feet down firmly, and lift. Immediately feel the tightness of the quadriceps into the hip flexors. Don't have it like I used to, right? But over time, you'll start to loosen up again, if done with consistency, right? Perfect. So let's go ahead and hug in. So I'm going to do a couple of these. I'm going to do a little bit of a back bend with a full extension. So as I exhale, I'm going to press out. I'm going to inhale, hug it in. Exhale, place the feet. Inhale to prepare. So press the shoulders down, press the feet down. And release. Perfect. I'm going to hug it in. Maybe bring the forehead up and extend it up. Take a big stretch. I'm going to hug it back in. This time I'm going to cross at the ankles as I hug it in. Going to let it back down. Going to set my bones in to the mat and lift the hips up. Inhale to lift, exhale to release. And cross at the ankles again. Did you remember the change how you crossed your ankles? Probably not. Go ahead. So I know I did it this way because that's my creature habit, and I'll always do my right on top. So when I set up, put my left on top, hug in, gonna extend it out. Maybe you float a little bit more. Hug it in, let it down. Here comes our last back bend. Lift and release. Perfect. I'm gonna take the feet out a little bit wider. Take those knees side to side. Trying to put that spine through a comfortable range of movement in all the planes that the spine can move. I think that's what our time together was today, just kind of keeping that spine going. Adding a little bit of strength because strong muscles are important to support the skeletal body. Going to take that full body stretch. Perfect. So if we were in a regular hour class, we would do a lot more and probably go into Shavasana, but you know what? You can do Shavasana on your own. No guidance is needed for Shavasana, right? Everybody. But Shavasana, let me remind you, Shavasana is not a pose. Shavasana is an experience. Right? Yes, there are traditional ways to set up for Shavasana. Corpse's pose, lying on your back, everything grounded. Maybe you have blocks of blankets to support you and make you feel comfortable. But it's more of an experience. It's the experience of breathing into you and connecting with yourself. And as you connect with yourself, I'm hoping you find the pathway to something greater than yourself. Okay? Universal being that we all connect with. Okay? So practice some Shavasana every day if you can, or maybe that Shavasana is more aligned with meditation. Right? But do get that time for yourself and explore the world that's inside of you. So on a big inhale, let's take those arms up and exhale down to our heart. I want to thank you so much for sharing some time with me, exploring that world inside as we work on mobility of the spine. Until we meet again, namaste.